So, the topic of debate of whether or not Royale High bots their player base has been something that's been going around for several years, and it's not a new topic, and unfortunately, it's a pretty polarizing topic, and people get pretty upset when anybody talks about it. However, today we're going to be talking about this and who may actually be responsible behind this because it may not even be Royale High who's botting their player base, it may actually be something much more nefarious. So, if you guys don't know, I have a Discord server where you guys can send me video suggestions, and this user by the name of Allie sent me this video suggestion the other day, which we're going to read together, and then we're going to do a deep dive into some research and some background information that I looked into. So this message reads, is Royale having bots in their game to up their player count? I was in a server where I was playing in the Falling Leaves Festival and found it strange when only I was the person participating in events or even in normal games. Though when looking at the player count there were multiple people, so I brushed it off. But when looking again at this, I realized all the people have the same username and display name. Furthermore, I couldn't find their so-called people in the map at all. There was no icon for it either. I just found it rather interesting. Who is playing Royale High? Is 8 to 10,000 real, or is it only 2,000 real life people actually playing? It seems they buy bots to become more popular, and it's my first time ever encountering this in a game before. Don't know if you want to make a video about it, but it seems rather interesting. I think it's why Royale High wants to invite more players back, because in reality there may not even be that many players actually playing because Royale High knows they're botting. Interesting topic though. And I certainly thought this was an interesting topic, so I did some research, and Allie was kind enough to send me a bunch of videos and screenshots that they collected from when they were playing Royale High. Now if you go ahead and look, you can see that they sent a screenshot of the player count, which I am going to blur their username, but you can see there's all these accounts, and what's really interesting is they don't have any items, which being a bacon hair or being a new player isn't a crime in itself, so I did some more diving. And as I kept looking, I realized that these accounts, you can actually search them on Roblox, and when I looked into it, every single account was just recently made. Now, just taking a couple, and I took them kind of randomly, but this one, A.E. Nora PU, this one was created on November 2nd, 2025, and the only badge that they have is from the Extreme Leaf Collecting from the Royale High event, which is very interesting. I went ahead and chose another account, this one, Izira War. I don't know, whoever's bought in these needs to come with some better usernames because I can't pronounce this. But this one, again, wearing the same outfit, having no achievements other than this one turned into a Fae, I'm not quite sure what this badge was, but these are both Royale High badges. And this account was also created on November 2nd, 2025. Very interesting. This third account, Momoka Dro is the name, I guess, and they again only have the same badge. Now, when people see this kind of content, and again, this person was also created on the same day. So what's really interesting is that every single user in that screenshot that they sent me was all created on the same day, and they all joined Roblox roughly around the same time and only had badges in one particular game, Royale High. Now, typically when botting occurs, there's two reasons for it. And the first reason can be that a game is not seeing the amount of players that they want to see, and so what they'll do is they'll artificially inflate their player counts. Because if you guys know anything about, being influenced by something, the more somebody talks about something or the more players that are playing a game, the more likely you are to want to play it. Take Drunk Elephant as an example, or Glow Recipe. Those are things that have been really, advertised on TikTok, and because of that, so many people have been purchasing them. Even myself, when I went to Sephora yesterday, I instinctively went over to the Glow Recipe stand because I want to look at what the hype was about. And spoiler, no, I didn't buy anything. Let me know if it's actually good though, because I am curious. What's really interesting is that games, and this is not a crime, which I think it's a little bit dishonest, but this is something that happens. A lot of games on Roblox, specifically the biggest ones, will sometimes bot players in their games during the lower times to try and incentivize other players from joining, because the more people that play a game, the more other people want to play it, because if people are playing it, that means it's a good game, right? However, there is the opposite side to this, where actually the botting comes from players itself. An example of this could be Murder Mystery 2. If you guys have ever been in Murder Mystery 2 and you've seen those third-party selling websites, when you get your items from purchasing on that website, it's a bot that joins the game. And those bots are actually operated by these website owners or by people who are trying to collect an absurd amount of coins or items in the game by just AFK farming on thousands of random accounts. And this is, in my opinion, what may be happening here. I don't want to outwardly accuse Royale High of botting their game because I don't think that that's accurate. However, I do want to clarify that I think some players do have, a incentive to bot the game because they can collect certain limited edition items, codes, coins, currencies, whatever it might be, right, by staying AFK in the game. And in my personal opinion, I believe these accounts may be third-party sellers who are trying to earn a bunch of coins and assets within the game to then sell on third-party applications like Facebook Marketplace, Etsy, Fiverr, etc. If you guys know anything about my previous videos, I've actually touched on this previously, where the issue with third-party selling Royale High is actually a really big problem, and a lot of these sellers are unfortunately scammers. There are some that are legitimate, but actually finding the legitimate sellers is really difficult because chances are you'll probably run into way more scammers and lose all your money before you even find a legitimate seller. And so the issue with this is that these players or these sellers typically will use bot accounts like you can see here to basically sit AFK in the map or to run around and collect diamonds, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with bots, which is actually kind of scary, and they'll also use these bots to artificially follow certain players on Roblox so they can get a verification check. If you guys know anything about verification checks, a couple months ago it was like a big thing where everybody on Roblox wanted to be verified, and to do that, basically players could pay for bots to mass follow their accounts, and when they had a certain amount of followers, they were eligible to get a checkmark on Roblox. Now, I believe Roblox has since patched this, but the amount of players still relying on bots or, users sending bots into certain games to collect limited edition items is not something that has decreased at all. Now, the question here is this Royale High doing it, or is it players that are trying to sell items on third-party applications? And the answer is, I don't know. I have no idea. I do know that a lot of people would speculate that this is true, primarily because there has been other games that have been getting a lot more players, or other games that are coming into the space, and so players are speculating that perhaps Royale High is botting their follower base or is botting people playing their game to make their game seem bigger than it is and to incentivize more players to play their game. However, I don't know if that's true. Personally, this to me seems more like somebody trying to, collect limited edition items or collect currency in the game to sell to third-party applications. However, what I thought was really interesting about this, and what leads me to think that, is this player informed me that they were actually playing during the middle of the day. They weren't playing late at night, because typically late at night, that's when there's not a ton of players, or players may not be as active, or maybe players are using spam accounts to, just collect stuff, whatever. However, I would expect that if Royale High was actually botting their game, they would be botting it during peak hours to encourage more people to play the game during the peak hours, right? What would be the point in botting your game when nobody's online? Does that make sense? So personally, I'm leaning more towards this being an individual player that's botting to try and collect more currency. However, I honestly don't know, and I'm really interested for you guys to let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Royale High is botting their player base? Do you think this is a coincidence? Do you think maybe it's somebody trying to collect more third-party coins to then sell on other applications? Let me know. And honestly, the whole third-party selling thing is a really big rabbit hole that I don't want to get into this video, but there are thousands and thousands of bots on the Roblox platform, so I don't think it's necessarily an unrealistic thing to expect that this could be somebody just trying to make a quick buck on third-party applications. But with that in mind, let me know your guys' theories in the comment section below. Do you think Royale High is doing this, or do you think maybe it's something else, something more nefarious? Let me know, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!